right, first and foremost, I want to give all infinite honors and prayer and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Akakwadash, and double honors to the elders. Salakia, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings, salutation to the Akim that's pushing this truth through the four winds. Shalom. All right, I just wanted to do another quick sit down. Lord willing, to be edifying to the elect. All right, and to the brothers and the sisters out there that's listening. I just wanted to go into this because from the beginning. All right, from the Garden of Eden, Satan, has beguiled Eve. All right, so that spiritual counterpart of Satan is upon this earth. All right. And he had that perpetual hatred for you so-called Negroes and Latinos and Native Americans from the beginning. All right. And I want to go into the account from the beginning and go down into the account from Jacob, from Cain and Abel, and Jacob and Esau, all right, on down to the blessing that even made more of that perpetual hatred towards your so-called Negroes and Latinos and Native American, because Esau, he knows about the blessing, and that's why he has that hatred, all right, because he know that it has but a short time, all right, reference to the book of Revelations. So I'm going to start off with Genesis chapter 4 and verse 2. Just to give you a good analogy of it. All right? and she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of the sheep. Let's go up. And Adam, Genesis chapter 4, verse 1, and Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord, Yahweh. Verse 2, and she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of the sheep, and Cain was a tiller of the ground. Verse 3, and in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord Yahweh. And Abel, he also brought of his firstlings of the flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord Yahweh had respect unto Abel of his offering. Verse 5, but when Cain and his offering he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth. All right, and his countenance fell. Let's go in let's go in the blue letter and get that wroth definition for edification's sake. Let's get it. So I'm trying to get the play right quick. I can.
Strong's H 2734. Chara.
Okay, outline of the biblical use of wrath. It says to be hot, furious, burn, become angry, be kindled. To be angry with, to be incensed. How you say it? Salakia. Insisted, to burn, kindle, to heat oneself in vexation, All right. And so Cain was pissed, so you could say. All right. Because the Lord, Yahweh, you know what I'm saying, was not respected of his offering, because Abel, you know, he tilled the sheep. You know, he was a keeper of the sheep, so he took care of his sheep. All right. But Abel, he had the, you know, so you could say he was like a half-assed job. All right. He wasn't putting forth effort to please Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Yahweh, at this time. All right. And it says, and Cain was very wroth. He was angry, and his countenance fell. And it says, verse 6, and the Lord Yahweh said unto Cain, why art thou wroth, angry? Why art thou angry? And why is thou countenance fallen? Verse 7, if thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? That's just like if you cut the grass and your father come out there and be like, well, look, I told you to cut the grass this way, and I come outside and look, you missed the spot. Nah, that's not good enough. That's not good enough to get my point across. That's not good enough. Nah, that's not good. But if my brother go out there and cut the grass, and he go out there and be like, well, oh, you did a good job. You know, yeah, good job, son. But I cut the grass the wrong way, and my father tell me like, oh no, nah, you didn't do it right. And I get angry. It says, if thou be accepted, and if thou doest well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Verse 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, which means that when it said, and Cain talked with Abel his brother, you could pretty much, if you picture it, he approached him and they fell out into an argument. And it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Verse 10, and he said, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother blood crieth unto me from the ground. 11, and now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. Verse 12, that's the point. Let you know from the beginning, you know, that this perpetual hatred from Esau Edom, it started from the beginning, since the Garden of Eden and after. All right. Now we could jump to another incident. This is Genesis, you know, because in the scriptures, reincarnation is biblical. So let's jump to this account. This is Genesis 25. Just showing an example that this perpetual hatred towards you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that it's been a revolving cycle of this perpetual hatred between you so-called Negro, Latinos, and the Americans, all right, against the so-called white man. And moreover, you could say these other nations, all right, because they joined in hand with the so-called white man to put you under subjection as well. This is Genesis 25, and I'm going to bring that precept out. This is Genesis chapter 25 and verse 22. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord Yahweh. And he said, verse 22, and the Lord Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Verse 24, And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. 25. And the first came out red all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. All right, Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Verse 26. Because, don't quote me on it. That was 18. The year 18. I can't remember. It's brain freeze. I can't remember, but I know it was the year 18, the 1800s, where they wrote themselves into law as the so-called white man and woman and the Caucasian. So it's selected for that. It says verse 26, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel. All right. And his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 64 years old when she bare them. And it says, verse 27, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. All right, which, the so-called white man, he loves to hunt and goes in the field, and he's good with the weaponry and hunting and everything like that. All right, and the man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And you know how Jake is, we chilling, barbecuing, whatnot. But that's not the point. But the point is just showing you that this struggle within her womb, all right, is basically what's been going on, all right? The struggle within Rebecca's womb is that perpetual hatred and that perpetual envy that been going on for the beginning of the times, all right? Since the beginning, since the Garden of Eden, all right? So Esau Edom, the so-called white man, is the spiritual counterpart of Satan out of the Garden of Eden. And so was Cain as well, all right? That's showing you that Esau was in the beginning, Esau was in the middle, and we're still going to have that perpetual hatred from Esau Edom until the end of times, until our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, who they gonna call God, his son Yahweh Shai, come back and crack them clouds and redeem us from under the foot of the so-called white man. All right. Let's go to Genesis chapter 27 and verse 41 to get more in depth of why the so-called white man despise you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, because of this blessing. And it says, Genesis chapter 40, Genesis 27 and 40, I started 39. It says, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness. Let me go back up. I started 38. It says, Genesis chapter 27, verse 38. And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. All right. He cried like a little baby. 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and of the dew of heaven from above. All right. Which means is when it says thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, all right, he was going to be able to have, dominion. He was going to, when it says he was going to have the fatness of the earth, he was going to have wherever his heart's desire. And it says of the dew of heavens from above, which means is he's going to have rulership. All right. Verse 40. And by thy sword shalt thou live. All right. So in this time, in this day and time, so Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he lives by what? He lived by the sword. All right. If you go into history and you look at who was that? That was, if I'm not mistaken, that was Christopher Columbus, when he said he had that quote where he said he couldn't put a sword down for a minute. He just went to and fro with the sword. All right. Couldn't put his sword down for a minute. He just went through devouring. All right. And then it goes back into the book of Job in the 9th chapter, and I think that's the 24th verse, where it says the world was given into the hands of the wicked. All right. And you go in the book of Maccabees in the 1st chapter, it tells you about Antiochus the Epiphanes, if I'm saying his last name right, Shalakia, that when he passed, the 4 generals, when they took rulership and divided the different nations, continents, that's when evil multiplied on the earth. All right. And that goes back into the birth and the bloodline of Esau Edom, so-called white man living by the sword. All right. And it says, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob. Slack it, verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing, wherefore his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, and you go back into that heart, and the Hebrew word heart is la'ab. That's in his mind. The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. All right. So this going into what I'm saying, from the beginning. Started with Cain, starting, what I'm saying, after the Garden of Eden, all right, when it started in Genesis, the 4th chapter, starting with Cain, all right, and then it trickled down into Genesis, the 25th chapter, all right, when Jacob and Esau, they struggled within thy womb, and Rebekah, and then it goes back into goes down into Genesis, the 27th chapter, showing you that same perpetual hatred that was in the beginning is still, trickles down into this, till then, until this modern day time. And the so-called white man, he lives by the sword. All right, he can't do nothing without that gun. He can't do nothing without his military. He can't do nothing without his laws. All right, he has to keep Jake subject under their foot. All right. Pushing that fake doctrine and deceiving the nations, going into the book of Revelations, all right, where it said that he was let loose to deceive the nations, all right. So they're just showing you that showing you, Jace, that Esau Edom, he don't give a damn about himself, his own people, or you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Americans, because this hatred been going on for generations and generations. It's nothing going to get better. Protesting, asking for help, calling on the so-called white man, going down. Hey, it says in the book of Isaiah, say, woe to those who go down to Egypt for help. All right, and then going to that word woe, that means destruction to you. All right, the more you call on the so-called white man and not seeking the Lord Yahweh Shem Abishai, hey, you gonna get shot down. Because this perpetual hatred from the so-called white man been going on for generations and generations, time after times. All right. It says what? One day to the Lord is like 1,000 years. So this is nothing new. This happened what? 2 days ago. So you can say 2-3 days ago. It's nothing new. But this perpetual hatred that the so-called white man have for you, this been going on. From Cain and Abel, all the way down to Jacob and Esau, in the womb, out the womb, till this day. Till this day. And then what the so-called white man did? Deceived the nations and got the other nations involved in it. They know. This Psalms 109 verse 2. And you could liken this as what we go through today, what you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans go today, all right? When it comes to the so-called white man, all right? It says Psalms 109, chapter 109, verse 2, for the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are open against me, all right? It says, they have spoken against me with a lying tongue. All right. So you go, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Americans go through this every day. You got what they got that what that they got. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. Salaki. I was just thinking about it, brothers. Where they say Karen. All right. You know what I'm saying? You know, you can liken this scripture into what's going on today. All right. You got Karen. She gets on the phone, call 911, and saying that the black man hit her or about to ran her over, and she's standing there on the phone, and Jake ain't even doing nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it said. Say right here, it says Psalms 109, chapter 109, verse 2. It said, "The mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are open against me. They have spoken against me with their lying tongue." You got cops doing this, shooting Jake down. Oh, he resisted. Oh, he had a gun. He's unarmed. He's an unarmed man. So that's with the lying tongue. It says, verse 3, "They compassed me about with words of hatred and fought against me without a cause." And you see this every day. That Jake getting shot down with no cause. All right? Speaking words of hatred. Going in his past. After they shot him down without a cause. But we know through the Heavenly Father, through the power and the strength of Yahweh Shema Shai, all right, hey, souls are old. So whatever you going through in this damn time is because of what you did in this life and your past life. But the point is to showing you this hatred that Esau Edom, the so-called white man and woman, have for you Negroes, Latinos, and Native American. This has been going on from the beginning, generations and generations. All right, it's nothing new under the sun. Thus said the scriptures. Let's jump back to Psalms. I'm gonna jump to Psalm chapter 55. Salakia. Bear with me. This is Psalm 55 and 21. I think this is going into the nations. No, okay. Salakia. That's Psalms 83. Salakia. I'm going to get to that. This is Psalm chapter 55 and verse 21. "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart." All right. And that's going into what's going on now. You see these protesters. All right. I seen Apostle post a video where you got Jake men and women out there protesting with the so-called white men and women. All right. Out there right along with them. How about no justice, no peace? George Floyd and Sandra Bland and all that. All right. But their mind is sealed. You Negro Latinos and the Americans out there, mind is sealed with a hot iron because you're not seeking Yahweh Shema Shai to understand these scriptures. All right. Like I brought out Genesis the 4th chapter and the 25th chapter, going into the 27th chapter, showing you that this hatred from Esau Edom, the so-called white man, all right, that's the spiritual counterpart of Satan himself out of the Garden of Eden, all right? And he had a perpetual hatred towards you, Negroes, Latinos, and the Americans, all right? So this has been going on for generations and generations, all right? And it says from the top again, Psalms 55 and 21, "The words of his mouth were smoother than butter." So they out there protesting with you, all right? But you have to understand when that time of Jacob's trouble roll around, all right, all hell's going to break loose. And the same people that you out there saying no justice, no peace with, them Edomites, they're going to be the ones that's going to put you to death. It says, "But war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they drawn swords." All right? That's just preserving you for that time of Jacob's trouble. All right? And these other nations are going to be right along with them as well. All right? It says 22, "Cast thy burden upon the Lord." All right? Yahweh. "And he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved." All right? And that's talking about the elect men. The one that's seeking Yahweh Shema Rashai. And this is the last priest. I'm going to end it off this. Because these nations is right along with Esau Edom. So-called white man. This is Psalms 83, verse 4. I could read that verse 4 to get to the point. It said, they have come and they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. And this from back in the ancient times when the nations came together to cut you Negro, Latinos, and the Americans from being a nation, all right? And they doing the same thing today. You could liken this into the same situation that's going on today. You got these different nations that can come over here and do what they want to and say you these abominable foods, all right? Knowing it's against the law, statutes, commandment, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and they know who you are as a people. That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance, all right? And that's why you so-called Negroes and Latinos and the Americans out here don't know and can't remember who you are as a people because you follow these laws and these doctrine and these different philosophies of the so-called white man. But it's only for the elect to wake up. All right, that's what it says in that scripture in the book of Baruch, in the 2nd chapter. It says in the land of their captivity, they're going to remember themselves. And that's talking about the elect men that's waking up on the highways and byways, that's proclaiming the wickedness of this wicked kingdom, spiritual Egypt, which is called America. All right. Verse 5, for they have consulted together with one's consent, they are confederate against thee. All right. And verse 6, I'm gonna just read that, to get to the point. It said the tabernacle of Edom, and the tabernacle of the Ishmaelites, and the tabernacle of Moab, and the Hagarenes. All right. Now Edom is the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, and Ishmaelites. All right, that's them so-called Arabs, if I'm not mistaken. All right, that's had these different corner stores with all that different abominable foods and and you could and Moab as well, they sell these different foods and jewelry and t-shirts and different things Jake like, all right? They know, all right, that who you are as a people, but Jake don't consider, all right? That's why they follow after the so-called doctrine of so-called white man today with all this protests and different things. But just to prove a point, just showing you that this perpetual hatred that the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, and these nations have towards Jacob. All right, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. This has been going on from the beginning, all right? Starting with Cain and Abel, on down to Jacob and Esau, into the womb of Rebekah they fought, all right? And Esau Edom made a decree that he was going to always have that perpetual hatred towards his brother and his brethren, Jacob, all right? So that's the point I was making, just showing you that it's perpetual hatred from the so-called white man. It's been going on for generations and generations, so on and so on. So it's never going to change. Nothing is never going to get right between you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans out here protesting and giving hugs and kisses to the so-called white man and woman. All right, they're always going to have that perpetual hatred because of that blessing that Esau, knowing what's going to happen in the latter days, and he knows it, that he's going into captivity. All right, but Lord willing, that was edifying to the body. I want to give all infinite prayers and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Mukakwadash. Double honor to the elders and apostles, Great Millstone. Shalaki, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessing and salutation to the brethren that's pushing the truth through the four winds. Shalom.